All right, we're back here on Titans Talk. The Titans defeating the Patriots 20-13 on Saturday night in New England. Now it's off to Baltimore. This Saturday night, a 7:15 kickoff in the AFC divisional round. You can watch it over on NewsChannel 5. Our road to the championship coverage continues all week long on news here on NewsChannel 5 Plus as well. Don't forget our special Road to the Championship, the divisional round preview, comes up Friday at 6:30 on News Channel 5. And then both John Burton and myself will be in Baltimore on Saturday. Pregame and postgame coverage around the game, which again you can watch kickoff at 7:15 on News Channel 5. Phone line still open, 737-7767 the number. We go back to the phone, say hello to Tony. Tony, what's going on tonight? Tony, turn your TV off and go ahead.
Okay, just a minute, sir. Okay, I just want to ask you what your thoughts was about Taylor Lewan. About, I don't know, maybe is he good for us or all the money we paid for him and everything, but, he makes a lot of penalties a lot, but I mean, do you think that he's going to be helpful with the team? And that's all I've got to say, sir.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Tony. I think Taylor Lewan remains one of the best left tackles in the National Football League. He is very well compensated off of 3 Pro Bowl appearances, but he continues to be a dominant force for this team. There are some distractions. He talks a lot. He's had penalties, though we should add, while penalties were a huge concern earlier in the season, he's had 1 on him in the second half of the season. Ever since the bye week, he's had 1 penalty. And the one on Saturday night that was announced against him was not his penalty. It was a legal formation. It had nothing to do with Lewan. So don't allow the announcement to make you think he was a part of that again. He wasn't. He just lined up where he always does. And the Titans had an illegal formation on the play. Lewan has been very good for this team for a long haul. And when the offensive line struggled earlier in the year, because let's not make any mistake about it, this team, the offense getting better, it isn't just about a move to Ryan Tannehill. He's been great. But Derrick Henry's run better. The offensive line has come together and blocked better. The wide receivers have caught balls in a way that they weren't early. They led the league in drops when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. They aren't now. So everybody's come together in that regard. But Lewan is part of that. Lewan struggled a little bit initially. I think he was getting used to the guy right next to him in Roger Saffold at left guard. New, highly paid free agent, but does things a little bit differently. He was maybe a little bit rusty after missing a full month because of the PED suspension. Maybe a little too anxious to come in and prove his value, and that comes to some of the penalties. But in the second half of the season, him and Saffold have combined to make that left side of the line exactly what John Robinson paid it to be. A dominant force that you can run behind with Derrick Henry. And Lewan's also cleaned up the penalties as well. He needs to continue to do that because it is a constant battle with him because of his emotions and the way he wears his emotions on the sleeve, that you're going to get some of those outbursts and you're going to get some of those penalties and you're going to get him to maybe get a little emotional in his play. So it's a constant battle to stay on him and for him to stay on himself to do it. But when he does it, he's still one of the best left tackles in the National Football League. Back to the phones, line 2, we go to Gerald. Gerald, how are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Good.
My question is, do you think that we will stay with Mariota as the Titans quarterback, or maybe move on to get hopefully another better quarterback? Tannehill's done a fine job. He's done a super job, and I'm just wondering if they are going to keep spending the money on Mariota.
Oh, I think that ship has long sailed, Gerald. I see no scenario in which Marcus Mariota will be the quarterback of this team or even on this team next year. He's a great teammate, and you've seen it the last couple of weeks. He's part of the game plan now because he's still a solid player that brings some weapons that teams have to prepare for when you can throw him onto the field either as a second quarterback to throw things up or just to shake things up. He's come in and been able to throw the ball and complete a couple passes, and obviously he brings that running dimension to the offense as well. I think you're going to see number 8 on the field more with this team in the postseason. Not a ton, but as a wrinkle in the game plan each week, because it just provides something else they have to think about. But his time as the quarterback, the every down quarterback, as a part of this team, is through. When he got benched in week 6 in Denver, that was the end. Because Ryan Tannehill came in, and he's been very good, and you just can't afford to pay a guy like Marcus Mariota that. And frankly, for Marcus's sake, for whatever reason, whatever you want to say about him, it hasn't worked out here in the way anybody hoped. But he probably needs a fresh start somewhere else, a lot like Tannehill. Tannehill in Miami, they were ready to run him out of town, and they blamed that franchise's inability to win on the quarterback. Sometimes he put up great numbers. They still didn't win, and they blamed him, not the people around him or the organization itself. In Mariota's case, he's won a bunch of games with the Titans, but the numbers weren't what people wanted. And obviously Tannehill came in this year and elevated this team to a totally different level. Maybe Marcus Mariota just needs that fresh start, to be injury-free, to be with one voice, not 5 different coordinators like he's had here. Maybe he just needs that fresh start somewhere else to clear his mind and play his best football. But it's going to be somewhere else. You got 2 quarterbacks on this team. Mariota's gone. And as I said earlier, I think the Titans will do everything in their power to keep Ryan Tannehill here next year as the quarterback. What you do then at the number 2 position is interesting. Is that a draftable spot where you find someone? I don't think you draft a first rounder if you're making your guy Ryan Tannehill moving forward. But can you find a guy in the 3rd or the 4th round you think is reliable and can be developed into someone that you can trust on Sundays in the National Football League? Maybe. Or do you go out and try and find somebody in free agency to come in as the backup? We'll find out. But I think the writing is 100% on the wall that Tannehill, they're going to do everything possible to bring back next year to be this team's quarterback, and Marcus Mariota will be somewhere else when the 2020 season kicks off. Go to line 3, say, hello. Is this Jay or James? James, I'm sorry. James, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I was wondering, do you think that Tom Brady would come over to the Tennessee Titans?
Somebody else asked me that earlier today, James. It's an interesting question because obviously he has ties to Mike Vrabel. I think he likes him a lot. They were talking to each other after the game in the tunnel downstairs at Gillette Stadium on Saturday night. So they've got a very good relationship. Brady obviously is an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career. And if he goes somewhere else, you've got to think he wants to go somewhere where the offense is set up for immediate success. He's not going to go somewhere at 42 or 43 years of age and want to rebuild with somebody. He wants to go somewhere else where he can win more Super Bowls. Does he think he can potentially do that here with Vrabel and the weapons the Titans have like Derrick Henry? Maybe. But here's the thing. I think that was a very interesting question when Marcus Mariota got benched back in Week 6 and you had no idea what was coming from Tannehill. With Tannehill leading the NFL in passer rating at age 31 this year here in Tennessee with this roster and Derrick Henry running the way he is, I think the number 1 priority at quarterback has got to be re-signing Tannehill, which would be a cheaper option, by the way, than trying to go out and sign Tom Brady. So it's an interesting thought. Maybe there will be some discussions about it, but if I had to guess, I think the Titans will focus all of their attention in the offseason on re-signing Tannehill as the quarterback and not looking anywhere else.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks, James. We appreciate the call. We move on now and go to Micah. Micah, how are you? You are on Titans Talk.
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Great. I love Tannehill, love Henry. I really feel like after watching the Saints game, it felt like a kind of a lot of pressure on Henry, and everybody was kind of looking, to Henry to be the go-getter, which he is. But I was just wondering about maybe in our wide receivers or different things, maybe it's in the draft or whenever that happens, maybe trying to pick some other, players to really kind of amp it up for us.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what the Titans decide to do, Micah, this offseason in terms of their focus. A lot of it's going to depend on who they can re-sign because, like I said, about half of this roster goes into free agency this offseason. So there will be some significant changes for sure. It'll just be interesting where those are and who are the priorities. Like I said, I think Tannehill, Henry, Logan Ryan, I think those guys have to be back. I think Jack Conklin's going to be a priority at right tackle in all likelihood to come back. So those are 4 priorities that are going to cost you some significant money. Who else comes back? Who else is let go? We'll see when we get into free agency, and then that will depend what you do if you're going out to sign somebody in free agency or as you put together your draft plan for late April as well. The Titans have weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, wide receiver. Remember, Adam Humphries is out hurt right now. You should have him back next season. I think Delaney Walker is probably done and played his last snap here in Tennessee, but Jonnu Smith has emerged as a very good tight end threat. And then, of course, you had Michael Pruitt and Anthony Firkser both with catches. Firkser's were 2 huge catches on Saturday night in New England. So there are players on the offensive side of the ball for the Titans. Can they add a couple more pieces? Probably, but it will be interesting to see what happens with the Titans when they move into the offseason and what their focuses are exactly with this roster. Because right now, for the first time in a long time, it's hard to complain about the playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. You have a quarterback that's been efficient. You have a running back that won the NFL rushing title. You have still a weapon at tight end. And frankly, they've got more weapons at wide receiver than they've had in quite some time. It was an off night for not just Tannehill, but the wide receivers. A.J. Brown had 1 catch. Corey Davis's 1 catch. Actually, both of his catches got called back for penalties. So together they combined for 1 legitimate catch on the night. They've got to be better if the Titans are going to have any chance this weekend in Baltimore, but these are still young guys with a lot of talents, and I think as you move forward, you feel pretty good about what you have there at the wide receiver position, especially when Adam Humphries comes back. So there are some weapons here on this Titans offense as you move forward to the offseason. I don't know if wide receiver has to be the first thing you think about, given all of the other positions where there are contract movements and potentially defections from the roster in the offseason. All right, we'll take another break here. Phone lines are open. Actually, every line back open now. 737-7767, the number. More of your phone calls and much more Titans talk straight ahead here on News Channel 5+.